It was in the clove of seasons. Summer was dead, but autumn had not yet been born, that the ibis lit in the bleeding tree. The flower garden was stained with rotting brown magnolia petals, and ironweeds grew rank amid the purple phlox. The 5 o'clocks by the chimney still marked time, but the oriole nest in the elm was untenanted, and rocked back and forth like an empty cradle. The last graveyard flowers were blooming, and their smell drifted across the cotton field and through every room of our house, speaking softly the names of our dead. It's strange that all of this is still so clear to me, now that summer has long since fled and time has had its way. A grindstone stands where the bleeding tree stood, just outside the kitchen door, and now if an oriole sings in the elm, its songs seem to die up in the leaves, a silvery dust. The flower garden is prim, the house a gleaming white, and the pale fence across the yard stands straight and spruce. But sometimes, like right now, as I sit in the cool, green-draped parlor, the grindstone begins to turn, and time with all its changes is ground away. And I remember Doodle. Doodle was just about the craziest brother a boy ever had. Of course, he wasn't a crazy like old Miss Leedy, who was in love with President Wilson and wrote him a letter every day, but was a nice crazy, like someone you meet in your dreams. He was born when I was 6 and was, from the outset, a disappointment. He seemed all head, with a tiny body, which was red and shriveled like an old man's. Everybody thought he was going to die, everybody except Aunt NICEY, who had delivered him. She said he would live because he was born in a caul, and cauls were made from Jesus' nightgown. Daddy had Mr. Heath, the carpenter, build a little mahogany coffin for him. But he didn't die, and when he was 3 months old, Mama and Daddy decided they might as well name him. They named him William Armstrong, which was like tying a big nail on a small kite. Such a name sounds good only on a tombstone. I thought myself pretty smart at many things, like holding my breath, running, jumping, or climbing the vines in Old Woman's Swamp. I want someone to race with. The horse said my name. I want someone to box with, too.
If William Armstrong lives, he will never be able to do those things.
He might not even be all there.
It was bad enough having an invalid brother, but having one who possibly was not all there was unbearable. So I began to make plans to kill him by smothering him with a pillow. But he looked straight at me and grinned. At that moment, I knew he was all there. Mama! Mama! He smiled! When he was 2, if you laid him on his stomach, he began to move himself, straining terribly. But he learned to crawl his 3rd winter, and we brought him out of the front bedroom, putting him on the rug before the fireplace. For the first time, he became one of us. When he crawled backwards, as if he were in reverse. Crawling backward made him look like a doodle bug, so I began to call him Doodle. Renaming my brother was perhaps the kindest thing I have ever did for him, because nobody expects much from someone called Doodle. At first I just paraded him up and down the piazza, but then he started crying to be taken out into the yard, and it ended up by my having to lug him wherever I went. I'm going to Old Woman's Swamp. I'll be back later.
Take me with you!
Take Doodle with you. He must not get too excited, too hot, too cold, or too tired. He must be treated gently.
There was a long list of don'ts, all of which I ignored once we got out of the house. I'd run with him carelessly through the yard. Sometimes I accidentally turn him over, but he'd never told Mama. From then on, I realized he was going to cling to me forever, so I decided to share with him the only beauty I knew, Old Woman's Swamp. I lifted him out and set him down in the soft grass. His eyes were round with wonder as he gazed about him. Then he began to cry. For heaven's sake, what's the matter?
It's just so pretty.
What?
So pretty.
You see this? This is yours.
It's not mine.
Yes, it is. And before I let you down, you have to touch this.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Yes, you will.
No, I won't.
You gotta touch it or I'll leave you here.
Don't leave me up here!
Then touch it!
Mm.
Thank you. I was embarrassed at having a brother who couldn't walk, so I set out to teach him.
Doodle, I need to teach you how to walk.
I can't walk, brother.
Says who?
Mama, the doctor, everybody.
You can walk, you just need to be taught to walk.
I heaved him up again, and again he collapsed.
I just can't do it.
Yes, you can, Doodle. You're not even trying. You gotta try.
Occasionally, I too became discouraged because it didn't seem as if he was trying. Finally, one day, after many weeks of practicing, he stood alone for a few seconds.
You really did it! You stood all by yourself! You stood all by yourself, man! Ah!
Mama, look at me, do I show you? Once, he could go no further, so he collapsed on the ground and began to cry.
Come on, Doodle. You want to be different from everyone else at school?
Does it make any difference?
Yes, it does. Come on.
What was that? Sit down and excuse yourselves. Excuse me. Excuse me.
What is it? I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be frightened of us. What is it? It's probably under... Don't touch it.
We're gonna bury him.
Dead birds is bad luck, especially red dead birds.
It's raining out. I need to go inside, Doodle. Okay. Doodle? 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 Doodle?
Oh